Heyo, sweethearts. How you guys doing today? I am actually having a good day. There's a person that's really close to me, my best friend. It's their birthday today, so we had a good conversation, and it actually got me thinking about um, like hope and optimism, and that there's not enough of it. You know, we tend to kind of misunderstand where our hope comes from or where it sits, and very often we can get really deep into our shadows, our darkness, and very often we end up losing our hope. We lose where it is inside of us, and I know I know a bunch of people. I know a bunch of people who have all struggled and like very deeply struggled to a point where they don't know which way to turn, and most of these people tell me no, they've got no hope left. They've got no optimism, nothing. But I realized a while ago that if you're still here, if you're still sitting here, you still go about your day to day, whether it's terrible or not, if you've got a terrible job or a terrible boss or a manager or something that's like digging into you, as a person, then and you're still dealing with it, you're still sitting at that job, you're still doing your thing, you're still working through it. Most people think that they do that because they get stuck in the monotony of things. They just get stuck in that routine, and that's all that they have left, and they've got nothing else. And more often than not, I realize that people kind of just misinterpret that monotony, that just being in the routine is the only thing keeping them here. Where, and a lot of people won't agree with me on this, and probably because they don't see it in themselves, but most of the time when we get to those parts, we think we're hopeless and that there's nothing, but there's always something still holding on to that hope. We've all got an inner child that we had to put away because this is a difficult world. The earth is a very difficult experience, and too many of us had to grow up early, had to grow up quick, make decisions that no child needs to make. And because of that, we just internalize our inner child, and we put them away in a box that most of us never look at ever again, because that's that box is hidden behind our shadows, our darkest parts, our traumas, the things that we struggle with every day. And then we never get over it. We never look past it, because why? It takes too much time. It takes too much time to work on ourselves, to make the hard decisions about our traumas, and to look at them in the face, to sit there. But on the inside, all of us have a little child, a kid. Our child selves just white knuckle shaking, holding on with everything that they can to the last sliver of hope. It's like a balloon. It's like a balloon that just wants to go, and it's pulling, and it just makes it harder and harder. And that inner child of us, inside of us, it loses strength. It loses strength the longer you don't look at it, the longer you don't allow the parts of yourself that want to have fun, the parts of yourself that still see the beauty in the world. If you just bury it, it just gets in there and stuck, and it's terrified. And there's something that we can't, like, I'm shaking thinking about it, thinking about what I used to do to myself, what I used to do to the inside of me. I used to blend myself. Just it's like my heart was soup, because I didn't allow myself to see the beauty, to see the optimism. And where you find your optimism is in your inner child's hands, that balloon. That's your optimism, that's your hope. And if you won't look at it, you won't look past everything in front of it, because you're holding on to it, but I can't see it. I'm looking at it, but there's nothing, because my hand is in front of me. And that's our darkness. My hand being in front of me there, that's the parts of myself that I always refuse to look at. I realized recently a big part of that is that I used to lie to myself about my pain, about my struggles, about my everyday life. I used to lie to myself and say, no, it's okay, that's just a thing, that's just a thought, that's just a feeling, and it doesn't matter or anything like that. But when I really started looking at it, when I started sitting in that darkness, sitting in my shadows, that's when I started seeing that little kid me still just holding on for dear life, crying, muscles aching, terrified because they don't know how long they can hold on anymore. But it's that hope, it's right there. And you let go of that balloon, you realize the hope isn't the balloon. The hope is you. The hope is your inner child. Your inner child is your hope. And so much of us just beat our inner child down because the world has done that. That's the only thing we know. We only know about the things that push us down because we don't look at all of the things that can pull us up, because there's not enough of it. We don't surround ourselves with enough of it because we're taught to disregard our feelings, our need for happiness, our need for positivity. And then we stop seeing what we can do. We stop seeing our capabilities. We stop seeing our happiness. And that happiness, that hope, that optimism, that leads to strength. And that strength leads to faith. Faith in whatever, faith in the universe, faith in whatever you believe in, faith in whatever religion or occupation or family member or wherever your symbol of strength is. You lose it if you don't have hope. And if you don't have hope, you don't have your inner child. And you're still holding on. If you're watching this, if somebody's watching this, and you're in your depths, and you don't know what to do, and you're terrified because you think you'll lose it every day, look inside yourself. You gotta look at your shadows, you gotta sit in them. You gotta work through them. It's like cables that need to be parted so that you can climb through and then see yourself, see who you truly are. And who you truly are is your inner child. Your inner child are all of the things that you want in life, all of the things that you know will make you happy. And I'm not talking material value, I'm not talking about money, I'm not talking about the perfect job or the perfect home. I'm talking about hope. I'm talking about waking up with a window open that you leave because you love the fresh air during the evening. And you wake up the next day and you smell the flowers outside your window, and you hear the birds chirping, and you go outside and you just smile because the world is beautiful. That's your inner child seeing that. Your inner child has always seen beauty, and when you were born, there was nothing but beauty. But then we had to let go. We had to let go of that because it's hard in the world, because there's too much. And once you realize that you've been pushing yourself down like this, and that's something that I realized recently, you kind of realize that your limits aren't where they are. Your limits are set by the things that you doubt about yourself. And once you let that inner child out, you let that inner child play, be happy, have a good time, then you start realizing that your limitations are actually much higher than you think. Like I realized in myself that I was physically keeping myself down. I'm a very physical person. I'm very active. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a super active person. I try to constantly progress physically, mentally, everything. And I realized I was holding myself back. I wasn't jumping as high as I thought that I could jump. I wasn't lifting as much as I thought I could lift. Like I'm gonna put a video attached to this. Like basically a handstand, but I'm going up from the ground up into a handstand. And I used to struggle with that. I used to struggle so much just doing that. It's just because I was limiting myself. I realized that when I was trying it back then, I would go down and try to push myself up from my hands, and I would be shaking, and I would just be like, no, I'm not strong enough. I can't do this. I can't do this. And then I stopped. But now I can. Now I can do it again. Now I can do it better than I've ever done it. Now I know that because I can lift myself like that, maybe I can take it a little further. Let me stand there for a while. Let me work on my balance. Let me feel my own strength, feel my inner child, enjoy this moment, enjoy the accomplishment that I just did. I just lifted myself up from the ground with my arms, my bare strength. There's my cat, just saying hi. Meow. But I just lifted myself up in this capability, and I tried it the other day for the first time again, and I just did it. I just did it because I realized I stopped thinking I couldn't. I stopped thinking I couldn't. And that came from the last 6 years of sitting with my difficulty, sitting with my trauma, working through it. And unfortunately, me personally, I was alone with that. I was alone with those things, and that's why it took me so long, because I didn't have somebody that could consciously support me in that regard, in that emotional structure, to be there for when I got hurt, when I fell, to then slap a band-aid on, or wrap my wrist because I sprained it, or, you know, emotionally. This is all metaphorically, but now that strength is here. Now that strength is me, because I allowed myself to let my child out, my inner child, me. I'm in the world now. I'm out there, and I'm telling people it's not that worth it to just keep that in you, to just sit there with this tension. And that's what it is. You feel it. You feel tension in you when you won't let yourself out, when you won't let the parts of you that are happy, that can be happy, that can see so much beauty in the world, you won't let it out, because it's just been pushed and pushed down further and further and further and further, and now holding on for dear life again. But then letting go of that balloon, that idea that there's something out there that'll do it for you. That's what it is. That balloon is the thing that keeps you there, because you think that what's in your hands here, this balloon that is floating in front of me, that'll do it. As long as I can just get more of them, I just need more balloons, then maybe I can float away from this difficult life that I have. Maybe my inner child will float out of me and it'll happen on its own, but no, it won't. You have to pry your own fingers open and realize that you are the balloon. You are your own hope. You are your own strength. Because I have this quote that I read, and it really just hit me, where it's this thing of that fear, you know, that fear that if I let this hope go, if I let it go, if I open my hands so that I can look at them, so that I can look at myself, then I'll never get it back. I'll never get that hope back, and then I'll be gone. There'll be nothing left of me. But the quote is, fear is false evidence appearing real. I found that recently. Fear is false evidence that appears real. It's a quote from a YouTube channel. Very, very wise person. Her name, or the channel name, is Transcendent Tarot, and I'll put it in the description too, because it's just great. There's so much you can learn from her. But fear is false evidence appearing real. When I heard that, I just realized that when I let my inner child out, I let that fear go. I let that fear go. That's why I can jump higher now. That's why I can push myself up, like I showed you. Because I don't have that anymore. The fears that I had were things that other people told me would happen if I tried. False evidence that appears real. Now I'm trying. I'm trying everything I can. Because I finally let myself out. I finally let my happiness out. And now I'm here. Now here I want to share it. Me and my cat want to share it. Even though she doesn't seem to be paying attention. She's baking biscuits. But that's it. Yeah, that's it for today. That's what I wanted to say. Because I'm doing these videos because I want to create a world where peace is given, not fought for. And that's an everyday thing. We have to take that step every day toward a world where we can provide each other with our own peace, where we can provide each other with the environments that we need, so that we can grow personally, so that we can grow inside ourselves for the people around us. I heard this lecture a while ago. I can't remember from who it was, but they said that you don't work on your friends. You don't try to make them better. What you're supposed to be doing is you're supposed to make yourself better for your friends, and they're supposed to do the same thing. Because if you begin improving, then they begin improving. The people around you are affected by your energy. We recently became capable of measuring the magnetic field that our bodies produce around us, our aura. Scientifically, we can now measure, if you want to call it that, aura, this magnetic field. And as the things inside us, as our minds take control of our emotions and things, that changes. Our electromagnetic field, it changes. Its polarity, its vibrational frequency, it changes, because that's what you do. You change. As you become more anxious, your heart rate speeds up, and then you start sweating, and then people around you feel that, even if they can't see it. It's in the air, it's in the tension, it's in that field around you. And we can now see that. We can now see that that's what we do to ourselves. We can now, we're getting to a point where we can measure the emotional effect that we have on the world. And the only way to get rid of that is to let our inner child out, to let my true self step out into the world. And it's difficult. It's hard. Nothing more worth it, though. Nothing more worth it. Guarantee you that. And I hope that if you came across this message, this thing, that you're at a point in your life that you can maybe begin looking at yourself again, maybe begin looking at your inner child, maybe realize that hope that you are holding on to, that's you, that's just you. You are your own hope, your strength, your capabilities. That's what gives you hope. It is the most difficult thing to look for hope outside of ourselves, because it doesn't exist there. It exists in here. And from that blooms beauty. Everything, all of the beauty in the world comes from inside of us. Because without letting that part of us out, we can't see the beauty anyways. You are your beauty. And I hope that got to somebody. And if it did, please, I want to talk. I'd love to hear from the people around the world that might be watching these videos, and for the people in my life that might be seeing these videos, please come to me if you've got any issues that you want to talk to. My best skill is listening, and I'll say it every video. Love you guys, all of you, everybody I know and everybody I don't. Love you all.